So, the Good Samaritan. Here we are. This is the good guy in the story, thus the word Good Samaritan. But it's interesting because Samaritans were anything but good. Samaritans in the time of Jesus were very controversial people. They were of a mixed race. They were kind of Jewish, but they'd mixed in with the local pagan tribes over the years, so they weren't really good Jews. If you asked a Jew if Samaritans were Jews, they would say no. Samaritans politically were kind of on the outside. In every way, socially, their economic status was lower. They lived up in the north, kind of in the hills, and they just weren't cool. They definitely weren't insiders. And for Jesus to use a Samaritan as the good guy in the story is pretty radical. Quite amazing, actually. In fact, just before the story is told, Jesus was going down to Jerusalem, really on his way to the crucifixion, and he sent his disciples on ahead of him, as he often did. And the disciples actually went into a Samaritan village, and the Samaritans kicked him out, said, "You're not welcome here." So as good disciples would do, they went back to Jesus and said, "Should we call fire down on them?" And by the way, Jesus said no, so just in case you're wondering. Anyway, why would Jesus have used a Samaritan? Isn't that interesting? It'd be like using a black person in 1950s Georgia, or an openly gay man in our church. It would be weird. Or an Arab Muslim in small town Nebraska. I mean, it doesn't fit. So why did he choose a Samaritan as the hero of the story? 4 possible points here. I would say point number 1 could be God can use anyone. That's fair, right? God can do whatever God wants to do. So that's kind of like the theologically correct point. Not all that interesting because we know that, but it could be that. God can use whoever he wants to rescue whoever he wants. Number 2 might be it's all about what you do, not just what you think. Maybe you should do right, not just think right. That's a possibility. So the Samaritan obviously didn't have good theology, but he's the hero of the story because he did the right thing. Thirdly, a little more controversially, maybe we don't see things correctly. Sometimes the good guys are the bad guys and the bad guys are the good guys. And so maybe we're not always seeing things the right way. Finally, it's just possible that Jesus is really only concerned about your heart. Now that's actually more controversial than it sounds. What if Jesus was only concerned about your heart? Not about all your thinking, even more than your actions, your heart. And if your heart is soft, he can use you. What if that's the point of this parable?